Good afternoon, everyone. We got Billy Yelverton, Mr. Too Tough on here, and we also got Mr. Loafer. We're doing this live here, and we're going to try to get the screen capture to work so we can talk about this properly. And I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to hold off until we actually get the screen capture working here. And go and see if I can see when this is actually happening. Can you guys tell me when the screen capture actually starts working there? Yeah, it's not going to tell me on there, of course.
Yeah, I'm watching. It says starting soon.
All right. Well, anyway, I really hope that I really hope that this thing gets going soon, and I appreciate everyone's patience. As with the ISON show on Thanksgiving, whenever we're sure that everything gets going, if we can pretty much bombard the comment section with what minute to jump to and what second to jump to so people don't have to sit through this like you guys are. Are we up there with screen capture yet?
Yeah, it looks like it's working.
Okay.
No, not the Google Plus thing. It's just going back between us now.
Okay, well, hopefully it'll stay on there while I'm talking, at least. But anyway, I've got the latest story on Fukushima, which is making its way all across the internet like an absolute wave. But there's an issue with it, and pretty much everywhere that is talking about this is pointing back to Turner Radio Network and their interpretation of the issue. And this is the picture they're using, and the issue is that steam is now being seen coming out of building number 3, that this is a huge problem, that they're basically saying TEPCO doesn't know why this is happening and they cannot go into the building to see what's happening, yada yada, but they have not been able to go into building number 3 for a while, if I'm not mistaken. So that's nothing new. And interestingly, and once again I'm praying that the screen capture is actually working here, but they talk about a couple of TEPCO releases where they talk about steam, yada yada, and I'll actually go to those here. We're on the December 27th, and this is basically what they're talking about. They're saying that steam was generated, and that is what's being used to drive all of this story. Now, interestingly, this is from December 30th. It says steam is no longer observed. So does this mean that we had a catastrophic 3-day event? Well, this is back from a few days before that. There was steam observed right around Christmas, but it was no longer observed on the 26th. There was steam observed on December 19th, but the steam was no longer observed on Christmas Eve. There was some steam generated here, it says, on December 14th, but by the 16th the steam was no longer observed. November 6th, steam was observed. November 6th, later that day, steam no longer observed. I could go on and on and on. This is not anything new. This is the reason why I have been saying that our world was being poisoned since 2013. And additionally, when it comes to these very minor steam incidents, which is all that this situation here is, this is not a big deal. What all these dates have in common, where they're seeing steam and then it disappears a few days later, this all starts on the day of or in the days following a rainstorm. There are parts of the building number 3 that are hotter than others, and you will see this oftentimes when it rains anyway. Steam will come out of places that, industrial areas, places where underground sewers are exposed, things like that. This is not the kind of steam you're worrying about. But that's not to say that this is no worry whatsoever. And by the way, the picture that they're using is the same picture from 2011. Nice, guys. Really nice. If I seem like I'm a bit upset, it's because I am. This is one of the most serious situations on the entire planet, and has been since people were calling me crazy for saying so in 2011. But it's also been used like this a lot of times, and I'm back on the Turner Radio Network, and I'm page. I'm really hoping that the screen capture is working for you guys here. But they start talking about go out immediately, right now, in big bold letters to your local improvement store, whatever, you know, Home Depot, Walmart, whatever. Tape up your windows, tape up your doors, do whatever. This poison cloud is coming. There's a certain individual who's even giving us a date. They're saying, oh, it's going to come on January 3rd, even though I can't really find that anywhere else. And the person who's saying that January 3rd is the date, they're on their third or fourth channel in as many years. They're on their third or fourth channel because they have to keep shutting their channels down because they pump up fake stories like this one. They play off real situations. Fukushima is one of the realest. Doesn't get any more real than that, and that's why I'm so upset by this. But they're not just playing off the fears of Fukushima. They're playing off something that we're learning about nature. And this is something that I'm going to ask Mr. Loafer to come in on here for a little bit because he's much better and has done a lot more research on the space weather effects on human health than I have. I tend to really just be an observer when it comes to that stuff. But this involves geomagnetic storms and how people act. And this isn't, you know, this is becoming a lot more well known now, right?
Yeah, it is. There's certainly a lot of research right now on the internet about it. And what all the papers say in common is that on days of geomagnetic disturbance or instability or a cosmic ray forebush decrease, what's going to happen in every person basically is an increased anxiety, an increased anxiousness. So basically reactionary anxiousness is going to occur. So in your normal environment, anything that's going to set you off or that you're going to normally react to, it's going to be just a more anxious reaction, a more stressful reaction. Yeah. And, the one way to tell that this is actually occurring, we had the radiation storm all of yesterday. A lot of people here were complaining about headaches, and headaches that are localized in the front right part of the hemisphere of the brain. And this is right in the right temple. It's right behind the eyes, and yeah. Sorry, I trailed out there.
No, I mean it's frustrating because this, and it's not like people don't know that we're supposed to have strong geomagnetic activity to start the new year. If you watch me or SPACEWEATHER.com and you listen to Tony Phillips, everybody knows that the coronal hole that is facing Earth today is expected to give us potential auroras in the first days of the new year. Not to mention the fact that we have 2 delta spots facing Earth that, you know, one of the main features of the daily news is we go delta hunting every day. It's one of my favorite things to do. And, you know, we've seen a couple of M flares. There is a CME, a small one, that is on the way to Earth now. And it's not like these big companies like Lowe's, Walmart, you know, True Value, Home Depot. It's not like they don't know this. And this is really just saying this is happening. They really just took something that is not a big deal that happens every time it rains over Fukushima, and they made it look like the very real danger here has actually occurred, and they're trying to play off of that. And again, if I sound frustrated, it's because I am, because we see this over and over and over again. And for weeks and weeks, or however long, you know, these people keep up these cons, they get so many people to just buy into it. And if you say anything like we're saying now, oh, you're trying to cover it up, oh, you're trying to deny it. Well, you just go and read it for yourselves. You can, I mean, I just went back into November, you know? I mean, this is from, oh, hold on, wait, let me go back to that one. I just went back to November 7th of 2013, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these Steam events. You could do this all the way back to when they started doing these updates every couple of days. Does this mean that you've been poisoned every couple of days and you should have been doing this all along? Of course not. This is a different kind of Steam. And is it that these people don't know any better? Absolutely not. They definitely know better. I mean, you go to the ENE News one and they claim to have translated a certain thing a certain way, and it doesn't come anywhere close to what these things are actually saying. They're making it seem like TEPCO is affirming that a cataclysmic disaster worse than before is occurring. And they say nothing of the sort. In fact, this is the same type of thing we see every couple of days at Fukushima. Just a little mini reminder. By the way, if they're it's really impressive that they're able to go in and do these daily updates if, as one person on YouTube is claiming, it's too dangerous now to enter, because I've got the 27th here, but this is from today, the 30th, and they had updates on the 28th and the 29th. And, you know, I realize that there's a little bit of obscurity there. Where are they going in? Are they actually going into number 3? It doesn't even really matter, because that's not what this is about. This is about Turner Radio Network playing up something that is nonsense, using a 2011 picture to try to pump up their story, trusting that you will not go and check these facts. And, folks, please, don't feel bad. Everybody from the Daily Paul to just Google this, and you'll be shocked at how many people just copied and pasted this entire story and are now part of this fear campaign on something that, well, it has a really strong place in my heart. I came onto YouTube in the wake of Fukushima, and I was, you know, when I used to say this is one of the worst disasters in the history of the world, the same kind of people who haven't been hearing me talk about it lately, and they're like, why aren't you talking about Fukushima? Those are the same kinds of people who were calling me crazy back then. I just got sick of talking about it. I got sick of, oh, there's steam every 2 or 3 days. We're all going to die. Now, people who are just new to this, they don't know any better. They don't go and see that they talk about this every few days. Or maybe they've just come on in the last few weeks or month and they have no idea that BP Earthwatch was Mr. Comet Watch before and a bunch of other channels, and he's had to turn them, and he's had to take those channels down and make these new ones because he just pumps stuff like this and people realize, wait a minute, I'm just living in constant fear here. And it's not that hard to do. You just make 90% of your videos accurate and good. It's not that they don't know what they're doing. I got fooled by Mr. Comet Watch, and I taught him so much. You see so much of what I taught Mr. Comet Watch in BP Earthwatch's videos. And I'm sorry for going off on just him. I should be more pissed at people like the Daily Paul for republishing this, because they know better.
No, it's upsetting right now because of what's happening. Because there's a specific date,
very pissed off.
January 3rd. There's January 3rd coming up, and that's what they say. You're going to be paranoid. You're going to be desperate. You're going to be anxious on that day anyway. And they're just giving people a reason, something to latch onto.
Yeah, and it's not like I haven't been talking about, you know, after we've had an entire month pretty much up to the last couple of days here without a major quake watch. I basically say that, you know, I mean, and this is the truth. All the factors are here, and we have a major quake watch to end the year, and I think it extends into the new year as well. It is what it is. That doesn't mean a quake is definitely going to happen, or it doesn't mean that ultimately it will be any more true than this nonsense we're staring at right now. But, you know, it is what it is, and this just keeps happening. And, you know, we shouldn't get so upset, because eventually they do have to shut their channels down because people realize that they're not checking the facts, and that people end up feeling stupid because they go around the internet pumping these stories that they're just regurgitating from these channels and these websites. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should have checked my facts. And they got to shut their channel down and make a new one. I'm getting really, really sick of dealing with these same people year after year with their different channels. And this stuff is so legitimately frightening when you just wake up, because you are open to this new world of these secrets and these lies and these dangers. And the only filter that you've ever known or lived with is taken away. How can you expect to have a finely honed filter for this kind of stuff? Turner Radio Network, this appears to be, you know, on all outward appearances, a legitimate news source. Many of the places that have, under new ownership, yeah, might need to do that again. You know, these places, they have so much good, real material that they seem credible. But this is where they get you. And when I see things like go immediately to Home Depot, to Lowe's, board up your windows, your doors, your chimneys for the same things that I have been reading on these pages every couple of days since 2011. And that I have been so beaten up for that I've just stopped talking about now. I don't know. I'm going to stop this. I'm upset, and Sick of dealing with this. I appreciate you guys getting on here, and be safe, everyone.